This is the world's saltiest chip. And today we're going to take it on. Let's get into it. What is up everyone and welcome back to my channel, where today I'm going to be taking on the world's saltiest chip, and whilst I endure whatever it is that this chip is going to do to me, I'm going to do a story time about how I broke my back. That was a little bit dramatic. I haven't broken my back, but I am going to do a story time of how I ended up in hospital. If you enjoy this video, guys, you are actually sick in the head, but give the video a thumbs up, comment down below if you have anything else to add, and if you haven't yet subscribed or followed, do consider doing so before you leave. This is the world's saltiest chip challenge. If I seem a little bit away with the fairies, I am on very strong medication. Okay, so inside of the box, we have the rules, the chip, which is individually wrapped and labeled RIP, which is always very reassuring. I have a black plastic glove, some cutesy little transfer tattoos, a sticker, the banner as and when I pass the saltiness test, which I'm sure pass with flying colours. Let's get into the rules. The Salt Chip Challenge is made out of the saltiest ingredients on the planet. Are you ready for an unforgettable experience? Yes, I am always ready for an unforgettable experience. Number 1, put on the glove. Number 2, open carefully. Number 3, eat it. Number 4, can you handle the saltiness for at least 1 minute without eating or drinking? I suspect yes, but. And number 5, post your reaction on social media with hashtag Salt Chip Challenge. That's definitely not what it says. It says hashtag Salt Chip Challenge. The world's saltiest chip. But how salty are we talking? Because to be the saltiest in the world, you've got to be pretty salty. Right then everyone, let's get this glove on. No sinister moment of all of the, so sinister. Okay. Glove is on. Oh no, this is going to turn my tongue blue, I know it. So inside we have this very blue chip. It's very thick as well. It looks very salty. The texture of like a pavement, yeah, it looks like the texture of a pavement. Right then everyone, so this is the chip. It is incredibly thick, it's blue, it's very salty looking. It almost looks like crystallized, but I'd imagine it's probably really horrendous. I'm curious to see what it tastes like, and I'm also curious to know how salty we're actually talking. RIP. Right then everyone, without further ado, oh my goodness. It's very salty. Is my tongue blue? Not really. To be fair, my mum is Latin American. She puts salt on everything, so I don't know whether I'm particularly conditioned for these types of experiences. Actually, the flavour isn't terrible. It just tastes like a plain Dorito. Plain Dorito, very salty. Let's get into the story time. I'm going to let the timer run and hopefully get through it pretty efficiently. Saltiness levels, high but very tolerable. I don't know whether this is just another me problem. Last weekend, I found myself in A&E. I'll give you a rough timeline of events. Let me give you a bit of background first. In 2018, I slipped a disc. It put me out of pretty much training and life for quite a while. and I really struggled, but I rehabbed myself. I didn't need surgery, and I kind of got myself back to training and lifting, and I haven't touched any compounds or any really serious training since then. So that's background. I have been active most of my life. I've been into sports and contact sports for most of my life. So my body has been through it, you know. But I've always kind of trained through it. I've rehabbed myself. I've seen many professionals over the years. I've had regular massages because I do get a lot of tension. But generally, like I keep myself, like I get niggles, but not any major injuries in a while. Last week, I went for a pretty routine deep tissue massage, and it probably was one of the most painful massages I think I've ever had. And my pain threshold, very high. Next day, I started to feel like this really, really sharp, very deep shooting pain, and it was going kind of from my lower back / glute into my leg. I thought, sciatica, I've had this before, I'll just go through the motions of that and I'll deal with it at home. So I cleared my diary because the pain was enough for me to really struggle to walk. So I stayed at home, I tried to go through the motions and the exercises, and nothing was relieving the pain. I don't take pain medication almost ever, and I did, and it did not touch this. Awful. Next day, I could not walk. I was brought to tears with the pain. It was concentrating in my calf. It was concentrating in my calf, and it was just the most frustrating thing because I didn't know what was happening. I didn't have an injury. I didn't slip, fall. I didn't go to the gym and do like a big lift. There was nothing to warrant my body being in this state. So I called a really good friend of mine that is a very, very knowledgeable person in this field and in this work, and she's in her final year to qualify as an osteopath, and I trust her implicitly. And she said, she gave me a kind of an idea of what could be going on. And she said, it's your nerve. I would go through and do this exercise. She gave me an exercise to do. I couldn't perform because I was in so much pain. That night I stayed home. I couldn't walk. I couldn't do anything. It felt like I was walking on a broken leg. And that sounds so dramatic. I know that pain is subjective, but I just have to iterate and reiterate that my pain threshold is incredibly high. It is very rare that I would get hurt and make a sound. So for me to be alone at home in agony and crying out is, to me, very harrowing. It's also very scary. So I was going through this and thinking, I've got nowhere to go with this. I was trying to do the hot baths, the Epsom salts, everything I could do at home remedially, and I just could not relieve it. Saturday morning, so 3 days after this massage, I wake up in the worst pain I've ever been in, probably in my life. And maybe that's not true, but in this moment, it really felt that way. I was in excruciating pain. I was brought to tears, and then my central nervous system kicked in. I passed out from the pain. I developed a fever. I was having hot and cold sweats. My eyesight was going blurry. I was getting ringing in both ears, and I started to get really, really scared that I've done something incredibly severe, and I was scared. I'm not going to lie, I was scared. I called this same friend to update her on what's happening, and she said, go to A&E immediately. And she gave me a script of what to give the nurse so that they know where to put me and what to test me for. And on that list was something that I'd never come across or known about before, and I feel like it's really important that people know about it. So there's a condition or something called, I'm going to put it on the screen because I will butcher the pronunciation, that is pretty pain-free and easy to miss, but it's the compression of the lowest vertebrae in your back, which spreads off into a bunch of nerves. If you damage that, you don't necessarily get any pain, but you will get a lot of numbness. Basically, anywhere that touches a bicycle saddle, if you feel numbness, that is a medical emergency, and you must go to A&E. You must be seen immediately. So when I arrived at hospital, They rushed me straight through, did my bloods, they came back perfect. The MRI experience was probably one of the worst things. They lay me on this bed and pushed me up into the machine. And because of the pain I was feeling, I was sat in a position that was triggering the pain the most. I was laying in that position and I was just crying. And it felt really like I was in a sick, like, experiment where they put me in a position of stress and I was crying, but then there was this slideshow of like really gorgeous photos of like pretty scenic landscapes, and they were playing like smooth country radio in my ears, and I just thought, this is the worst thing. I was in floods of tears, and they do several tests, and each test takes 2 minutes, 1 minute, 4 minutes, and they tell you how long it's going to take. And every time I was thinking, this is the last one, and I came out, I was in agony. I was in so much pain. I can't put it on a spectrum. Like, I can't liken it to anything at all. Not in my life and my experience. I was just a shell of my former self. And the doctor came in and said, congratulations, you have 4 herniated discs. And I was just like, what? 4? And he said, yep, 4. I just never thought I would be at that point with my back in that state. Now, that is bad. It's bad. I was put straight onto the list for the Royal Orthopaedic. The doctors were great. The nurses were great. I was really looked after. I was given some really very, very strong pain medication that I was convinced was not working. But I was looked after very, very well. But I did not want surgery. And so I was going through the motions of like, how am I going to do my life if I have surgery on my back? That it's just, I can't do it. My life will not facilitate such downtime. I will not allow it. I ended up being discharged on a list to see surgeons with very, very, very strong pain medication, but still in the same state as I was in. The only thing that was making me feel better is that it was just herniated discs, and they can be corrected through physical exercise and movement. So I was confident that I could get on top of it, but in the meantime, I am in excruciating pain. Now, the good news is that my pain is not in my back. The pain is a nerve which is running down my leg. So whilst I was in pain, I was horrific, but then my leg went completely numb, straight into my foot, and I was just carrying around this like big thumpy leg. And whilst it relieved me from that pain, it's just scary, you know? It's just really, really scary. For someone like me that's so active, it's terrifying stuff. I saw an osteopath who put my mind very much at ease. He gave me exercises, rehab exercises to do, and told me, get up, keep moving. And because the pain is not in your back, I believe that it's your piriformis, which is a muscle that runs across your glute into your hip. And if you keep that stretched and mobile, then you will eventually move that nerve along, and that pinching will stop. Now, it has been a few days, and I can confirm the pinching is at its minimum, the least that it's been since being in hospital. So I'm in less pain, it's less consistent. It was getting to like the I can't even walk stage, but now I'm mobile, I'm getting to the gym, I'm doing rehab, I'm definitely on the mend. I'm not going to have surgery. A lot of people told me about their surgery stories, and the advice was, if you can avoid. So that is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to get myself better. So that means that big food challenges are probably off the table for a while, excuse the pun. I'm going to try and make different types of content whilst rehabbing myself. As soon as I feel like I'm able to, I will get back into doing normal content. Best believe that the comeback is going to be absolutely epic, and I cannot wait to start posting just the regular content again. So that is absolutely everything about my broken back story. I I'm okay, I will be okay. I'm not at 100%, but I will get there. I'm going to rehab my back to kind of realign my spine and get my discs working as they should, and hopefully relieve any kind of nerve pain that I'm experiencing at the moment. And the sooner I can get off codeine, the better, because Lord knows my brain's already like not at 100% working ability, and with codeine it feels like it's just been dampened massively. Just a little disclaimer, apart from the fact that I am not a good storyteller by any stretch of the imagination, if this video and that story time seemed a little bit jumpy and a little bit weird, it's because right now my brain is a little bit jumpy and a little bit weird. I blame the meds. Right then everyone, so that was the world's saltiest chip, which turns out to be not all that salty. But today we were successful and I was able to tell you guys why it is that I might be a little bit quieter and off the food challenges for a little while. Thank you all so much for listening to me ramble. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, you sick blot, give the video a thumbs up, comment down below if you have anything else to add, and if you haven't yet subscribed or followed, do consider doing so before you leave. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Shalt ship challenge, that's definitely not what it says.